Good evening, my third group students. Today we are going to revise our last unit, which is unit 3 in our book Aim High. And it's about relative pronouns or relative clause, definite and indefinite relative clause, which we studied in our O-level curriculum. And we are going to revise it now. Okay, let's start. Here are our relative pronouns. Who is used for people. And let's write down. Which for things and animals. Where for place. Whose for possessions. And when for time. We have two kinds of relative clause. They are called relative pronouns اللي هي in Arabic ضمائر الوصل. الجملة الموصولة أو relative clause, we have two kinds of them. The definite and the indefinite relative clause. Let's start. Definite relative clause comes immediately after a noun and gives us information about that noun. It can be in the middle or at the end of a sentence. For example, she is the vet who looked after my cat. Let me write the sentence. Here is our sentence. She is the vet who, here is the relative clause. And it's definite. It came after a noun and it's in the middle of the sentence. The relative pronoun is in the middle, but the relative clause is at the end of the sentence. She is the vet who looks after my cat. Okay. Here is another example. The hospital where my sister works is enormous. The relative clause where my sister works is in the middle of the sentence. The hospital is enormous. So this relative clause gives us information about this hospital. Okay, the hospital where my sister works is enormous. Now let's move to the second type of relative clause, which is indefinite relative clause. As for the second type, indefinite relative clause or non-defining relative clause, we need to know that it's adding extra information about the noun. So we have already information about that noun, but this kind of relative clause adds extra information about it. And the sentence makes sense without it. Without this relative clause, the sentence have a complete meaning. We can take it away. And it's separated from the sentence by commas. We use commas in this kind of relative clause. Let's see an example and we will apply these things on it. Here is the example. Nancy's department store, which is in New York, is one of the largest shops in the world. Where is our relative clause, which is in New York? Let's try the sentence without it. Nancy's department store is one of the largest shops in the world. This is a complete sentence and it's giving us information, but this relative clause gave us an additional information that this department store is in New York. We separated it using commas. So the non-defining or the indefinite relative clause, we use commas. It gives us extra information about the sentence or the noun, and it can be taken away, and there is a complete sentence without it. Okay, let's have another example. Here is a sentence. Can we do it, or can we work it out? Ahmed is my friend. His father had an accident. Use whose. Yeah, I can answer your answers. Ahmed, whose father had an accident, is my friend. We will take the word his father away, and I will say Ahmed, whose father had an accident, is my friend. Let me write it down. Here is the answer. Ahmed, whose father had an accident, is my friend. Let's see that is a defining or indefinite or non-defining. Yes, that's right. It's definite relative clause. Let's see another example. Here is another example. My sister works in the local hospital. She is a nurse. Use who. Yes, that's right. It's an indefinite relative clause. What will the answer be? My sister, who is a nurse, works in the local hospital. Yes, that's right. Let me write it down. Here is the answer. My sister, comma. Don't forget the commas. My sister, who is a nurse, works in the local hospital. By this unit, now we finished our high-level curriculum. You need to answer as many questions as possible, and if you find something difficult or you can't work out, let me know. That's all for now. Thank you and goodbye.